Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs. Today we'll be painting up our Hansen's Roughriders Battle Lance. So this is one of those new Lance mercenary sets out. So painted in the parade uniform color scheme, because that's what most of the card art is like, you'll see. So the goal is try to get this done in one day, actually split it 2 days, afternoon one day and the morning of the next, just because some of the washes have to dry. So we'll go over how to color a mech. We'll lead off with this one, but we're painting them all at the same time. And for that, I used Primed Dome Standard Mechanicus Gray. Used pretty much all Army painters, so Ultramarine Blue, Griffin Blue, Dungeon Gray, Matte Black, Matte White, Fog Gray, Ash Gray, and Moon Dust. And then I used Games Workshop's Nolan Oil and Sterling Mud. Paint the base whatever you want. But let's go ahead and get started on these guys. We're just going to unbox them, then we'll paint them up. Now to start the painting process, we're going to do our unboxing here. So I'm going to pick this up from Aries Games Miniatures. So let's see these guys out of their little tubes. Now notice, unlike the Tailhounds, get out of there. Alright, so we get the cards. So here's the booster packs. And so from our previous video with the Tailhounds, we can see it's a shorter plume stack. Not plume stack, a shorter exhaust plume. Alright, and so what do we got there? It's a hatchet man who jumps. Okay, you can see that comes off. Alright, and then so it's a lot easier to do than the Kellhounds one. I could not get mine to come off. But alright, if you want him to jump. Okay, so it works pretty well. So we'll probably see which one we do, which form we like. Might not glue this one down. I think they did it in a way to where I could keep both options if I wanted to. There's our Hatchet Man with his jump. Okay, so we got our Atlas and new Penetrator. Enforcer. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the cards. That way I can start deciding what color scheme I want. So let's go ahead and look at the Alpha Strike cards. Got C2 Atlas. Looks like to be in their parade colors. Alright, ASZD Atlas. Okay, we've got this Penetrator. Penetrator 4D. The Enforcer. And the Hatchet Man. Okay. Now the ones I'm interested in are the pilot cards. Because I like building my Alpha Strike forces around the pilots here. So I've got our Little Richard's Panzer Brigade. Okay. Hansen's Roughriders. Okay. They're doing a lot of the blue. Okay. Lieutenant House Davion, Fox's Teeth. Okay. Lieutenant Mercenary, seeing Hotheads. Okay, blue. Major General House Steiner, Archers Avengers. Penetrator. Interesting. And okay, so what I'm noticing is that mostly when the Hansens before the Ill Clan, they used a dirty sand dun color for their uniforms, but for their mechs when in the field. They saved the blue for parade dress until the Ill Clan era, but it seems all the pilot cards are done off the Ill Clan or the parade, so I guess that's what we're going to go with. Blue it is. Now we have everybody primed Standard Mechanicus Gray, so we're going to get out our Army Painter Ultramarine Blue and a dry brush that has been thoroughly beaten to heck. It still has some value. Actually, let's go with the Hatchet Man. Load him up here first since he's on the right there. And we'll take our brush and just put it here. Now some of the artwork, I wanted him interchangeable, so I'll have to be a little less vigorous on my brushing here. So, what was I saying? Okay, so the artwork shows a darker blue, but remember we're going to apply a wash at a later stage, and we want something that reads as darker blue, but you can still see from across the table. And once we finish one guy, we'll go on down the line, work on this atlas. Now I have 2 coats of the Army Painter Ultramarines blue on. And you might think, 2 thin coats, that's a good recommendation. Like, well, you kind of have to with Army Painter. Stuff comes off thin, but we're going to use some Griffin blue. I'm going to take a dry brush here. Let's see how to show this. Okay. Then let's put down a little paper towel. Let's see. And I'm wiping it, and it looks like it's off. Once it looks like it's off, that's when it's at the right amount. And it's just a dusting of it. Early morning. Okay, so we go around and do everyone else. Now that we've dusted on the Griffin blue, and I should bring up the reason I use such a large dry brush, so you'll notice that it can't get into every nook and cranny. That's fine, because I'm just cleaning the outer edges here. So this is a dusting. What this will do is it'll lighten up the surfaces that will be more exposed to light. I'm not jamming it in here or here, trying to dust it, so it pronounces more of the shadows, which is what we're after. Alright, now we are going to move on to Dungeon Gray. Maybe gray would work. Let's try this one. And we're going to start picking up the details. Now before we could be a little bit sloppy, now we'll have to be a little more precise. Because looking at the card art, it looks like a chest plate, the fists, and the weapon systems are this gray color. So it's kind of a way to highlight the model, make it not all blue. Make it like an ultramarine Battletech. Now for the axe, the art shows all the axe being gray. I think I'm going to leave some of it blue. And we'll just go through. I might not follow the card art exactly, but we'll get kind of close. And normally the trick in doing like some of these racing stripes, the panels, is to give you panel lines. Just follow those. You don't have to stray too far. I have all the gray painted on, so you can see do the front and back, and it's scattered around mostly fists and joints and like little racing stripes there. But notice on the back we have the exhaust systems there. So you got there, the little jump motors. I guess not motors, yeah, they're just little engines there. So what I'm going to do right there is I'm going to take some Army Painter Matte Black. And I am going to make these areas black where the jet exhausts out. Okay. That's my dog. So we'll just go down the line, start doing all these exhausts. Alright, now we have the blue, the gray, and the black on. So I'm going to take that brush we put the blue on, get a little bit wet, wipe it off. Now I'm going to take some Knoll oil, and we're just going to put, okay. This will darken down that blue, so now it'll look more like the artist rendition. But remember, we put that lighter shade of blue. Dry brush that on just the tops there, so that will come out a little bit lighter. Give you a little bit more distinction. So now with the gray and also the blue, it'll sink down into those little crevices and darken them down. A little more three-dimensionality to the model. So once we get that done, move on to the next guys. Now, while we wait for the Knoll to dry, we're going to texture the base, then go to bed. But because I want to be able to use this guy with the stand and everything, I'm going to take him off. We're going to get some Sterling mud from Citadel. Come here, you. And we'll just start mixing it on there. Much as little as you like. Now everything's dried up, and you notice by putting on the wash, we got the blue down to the color that we see on the card art. But we're going to add a little interest by taking some Army Painter Fog Gray. So this is one of their grays, but kind of blue in addition to the gray. So what I'm going to do is take my dry brush and put a little bit of paint on it. And let's see if I can do like before. Just show you where I'm trying to get down to. Get it off on the brush. So you see there, really don't see any more coming off. So now I know it's ready. And turn it around. You can see right there, that adds some pop to like the edge of that line. And it'll make this guy stand out more when I'm standing like 4 feet away from him. So we'll go ahead and dry brush. That's where I went to. Everybody. So we did that dry brushing around. So now we got our tiny brush. And we have a little Army Painter Ash Gray. And what I use this for is I want to turn the cockpits yellow. And you can look at these guys and see where they have their little cockpits. And the reason I want a tiny brush is to kind of move around the edge of the cockpit and then fill it in. Part of the cockpit. Didn't know. Right, let's look at the card. Let's see where the card shows that cockpit. Yep, it is. Okay. It is by the side. That looked like that was going to be part of the cockpit paint scheme. So, smooth, light strokes. One coat. Alright. Then what we can do, since we have it here, take some of these weapon ports. And just put, I like to call them little T's. A little T. Show the light. Get a little corner right here. Along his fist. Just little places like the topmost of the model. Alright, now I'll go do that to the rest of these guys. Now I put the ash gray on, we're going to move on to our painter moon dust. Since we do these down the line, if you go back to the first guy, his gray will be dry. And we can start marking in the moon dust over where we did the ash gray. Because if you try to put the moon dust over the blue, the yellow wouldn't survive as well. Now to finish this model up, we're going to take some matte white. Once again, we're going to take our tiniest brush here. I dip it in the paint. I wipe most of it off. And then we're just going to do a little, for this one, we'll do a little dot. There, stick. Then a line right there. Oh my god. You know, I don't think I'm going to play this guy. So I think you got to pick which one it's going to be. Because I can imagine moving around the tabletop, I'm going to get sick of picking him up by the base. So I'm going to glue him down. But if you want to see a painting video of how we do one of these plumes, check out my Kellhounds video. And since this is pretty easy work, we'll just go down. Okay, so if you make a mistake, get your brush wet. And while it's still wet, you can kind of scrub it off. Okay, so make those little light reflection L's on the yellow. Then I want the barest tint of paint. Make it kind of look like it's glowing. Part way down. Like little light reflections there. Picking up some of these lines. Alright, I'll get to the last one here. Just do half line right there. Right there, just make it look like the yellow's glowing. There we go. Alright, so that's it for these guys. So we did that. I started in the afternoon one day, finished up before lunch on the next day. Most of it just trying to let the wash and the base dry, so we'll find a color. Pick whatever color you want for your base, whatever you're matching, but that was fun. Good little set. Well, thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs, and we'll see you next time.